As a woman, it is important for you to know your blood type. In India, 5 to 10% women have a negative blood type, such as A negative, B negative, O negative, and AB negative. It's time to know more about your blood type. Consult your doctor today. A public health initiative by Bharat Serums and Vaccines Limited and Mankind Pharma Limited.
What is the main reason behind these two back-to-back wins? I think Marizanne Kapp. I think both with the bat and ball. If you see in the earlier games, Marizanne Kapp was struggling with the bat. We all know what was going wrong.
Hello, today we have with us Dr. Bhaskar Pal, who is a very, very eminent obstetrician and gynecologist, and he's based out of Kolkata. Thank you, Dr. Pal, for joining us here on this show on Revsportz. Now, today we will be talking about a very broad spectrum of women's reproductive health, and I know these are questions that you deal with on a daily basis. But I would like to start by asking you. In India, for the longest time, reproductive health has been something which people don't speak about very openly. So, what are some of the key issues that you think women should speak more about, as we as a society are opening up more and more? So what are some of the key issues you think we should speak about more?
Yes, I think absolutely there are key issues of reproductive health which are not spoken about. These days, what has changed in India that women are having children much later than they would 50 years back. So there are primarily three issues that we see. One is, which is very common, is endometriosis, and that is something. What happens is that the telltale sign is pain during periods, and whenever somebody has pain during periods, not only the family members but also friends and even general practice physicians would say, "Oh, this is normal. Once you get married and have children, that it will go away." So there is a study which shows that endometriosis in young girls took around 10 years to arrive at a diagnosis. That's number one. Number two is that again in 40 years, what has changed is people used to go to school, come back and go out to play. Now people would sit down with their books or play on the computer, and there's a lot of options when you go to eat out, including junk food. So we see a lot of obesity and we see a lot of polycystic ovarian syndrome. And this is a lifestyle issue which doesn't get addressed. We often come across mothers who are very lean and slim with a daughter who's quite a little of overweight. And that is a second issue. The third issue is that when women are postponing childbearing, women are born with a fixed number of eggs. And especially women who are pursuing a career in whichever field it might be, the reproductive career and your own career are always at loggerheads. But science has progressed, and for women who want to postpone childbearing, there are options of keeping your reproductive, or rather keeping your eggs uh, in order. So there are girls who are, say, doctors, where parents would come, they're 28, 29, parents would come and say they don't want to get married, they don't want to have a baby. Doctor, please tell them. And our point is, no, let her do what she wants. And if she thinks that she's going to have a baby at 40, so be it. We'll keep an eye and see what needs to be done when. So I think the other important issue that doesn't get talked about, and this was a very interesting piece in Times of India around 2 to 3 years back, young women, although we find it difficult to accept, but we need to accept that young women do have sex. And if they have sex, we need to educate them about safe sex, about not getting pregnant. And the Times of India survey said that the most of the doctors, adolescents don't like to visit is because they're judgmental. It becomes very difficult for some doctors to give them an opinion on a non-judgmental point of view. We have a country with the highest fertility rate, and we don't talk of contraception. So these are the issues I think we need to talk more openly about. We need to remove the taboo on menstruation. We need to tell people about what what options you have if you want to postpone your fertility. We need to tell them about lifestyle issues, and we need to tell them about safe sex.
So, doctor, you spoke to us about the entire spectrum of women's reproductive health. As we say, from menarche to menopause and the childbearing years in between. But tell us something. We at Revsportz, we are a platform for sports coverage, and we work a lot with young athletes. So, if you were talking to coaches, for instance, and we know that the ratio of male coaches to female coaches is, far higher, how would you, talk to them or mentor them about mentoring the young girls under them? Because there's often a bit of a they're talking at cross purposes. Young girls can't talk to the coaches about, I'm having my periods, what am I supposed to do, sir pain hai. They don't know how to talk. Coaches don't know how to deal with it. Oftentimes this happens. So how would you talk to the coaches?
That's a very, very interesting point. Since we decided we will go on this, I did some research and I came across a paper which came in our fertility journal, International Fertility Journal, about a year and a half back. And here the doctors actually interviewed 18 elite female athletes internationally. So it's just not a question of economic issue or people coming for poor background. And from this interview, there was an informal penalization if their reproductive health issues interfere with the sport. Secondly, again, the male coaches, especially, it becomes a difficult issue that women might perform at a lower level when they're menstruating, and that nobody takes into account. And all these women, especially when they're at the peak of their career, I'm not talking of those who are starting their career, they have concerns about their future fertility. And there's an issue of declining mental health because of their worries with the reproductive health issues. And these are the things the male coaches and the sports administrators need to be aware about. They need to uh, have platforms for educating these athletes and giving them support, and have a multidisciplinary team which addresses all these things, which will have nutritionists, physicians, sports medicine experts, and psychologists, and lastly, screening for their health issues. There are quite a different set of health issues for women athletes and women sportsmen.
So you talked about screening, doctor. Now, there's something which we keep encountering. Now, please explain to our viewers, what is blood type, and why is knowing the blood type for women athletes, especially for high impact sports, why is it so important to know this blood type or the profile? Why is it so important?
Yeah, we all have blood groups, and the blood group could be your blood group could be A or B or O or AB. And again, it could be positive or negative in each of these four. So, suppose you need to be given blood, then you can be only given your particular blood group or somebody who's called a universal donor. And I think people who are in high impact sports and where there is a risk of trauma, it is, of course, essential to know what their blood groups are. And especially if somebody belongs to a rare blood group, that is something we need to know, that there is a provision for that. Apart from that, even in reproductive health, it is essential to know your blood group, because if your blood group is negative and your partner's is positive, there are some precautions that need to be taken when you get pregnant.
Right. Okay, now I'm going to ask you about PCOS or PCOD. That's again a very common reproductive or health issue, which women are dealing with all the time, modern lifestyles, but it's also very common among athletes. Now, what would you say to that? Because athletes generally, they are on a regimen, they lead healthy lifestyles, they are into sport, they are practicing, they're into activity. So, how would you explain that, and what advice would you give our young athletes?
There are two kinds of polycystic ovarian syndrome. The majority of them are the obese polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is around 80%, and this is easier to manage. You if you go into lifestyle modification, lose weight, most of it will get better. It is the other 20% who are difficult to manage, and these are the lean PCOS, as we call them. And most of the athletes who have PCOS would fall in this category because they exercise regularly, etc. So that is something they need to be aware about. And the second problem that happens in athletes, your ovarian function is controlled by your brain. When you're exercising too much or you're not eating properly, eating enough, then that can affect your periods. And that is something they need to be aware about. In fact, when it comes to women athletes, there is something very well known called a female athlete triad. And the female athlete triad consists of three things. Number one is a menstrual dysfunction. So young girls who are at 10, 11 getting into professional sports, for them, their menarche may be delayed, which means the first period initiation might get delayed. They might get amenorrhea, which is defined as no periods for 3 months, or they might get irregular periods, which is periods which are delayed by more than 35 to 40 days. And these are the things which might impact fertility and they need to watch out for. The second thing, which again contributes to PCOS and other issues, is their low energy availability, which means the body consumes more energy from exercise than the energy that comes in from food. And the third thing that happens is that there's an impaired bone health, and this is the triad. And the impaired bone health, because during adolescence, women are adding on to their bone mass, and the bones will not develop well. So these are the things they need to be worried about. In terms of PCOS, they need to be worried about if they're not getting a period for 90 days or if their periods are delayed by more than 35 to 40 days. That is when they need to seek medical help.
Right. So we are talking about PCOS, we are talking about, hormones, and we all know, I mean, I'm a mother myself and I have a, preteen daughter, so I know what hormones look like on a daily basis. And for athletes especially, again, we must talk more about sensitization because, I've had elite athletes tell me, that it's so difficult to make people understand that, we have these ups and downs. So will you talk to us a little bit about hormonal health, sensitization about, because a woman's body is so different from a man's body. So hormonal health, that cycle.
This has got nothing to do with women. This is to do with people who deal with women. There is something called premenstrual syndrome. Apart from the fact that periods can be very nasty in terms of heavy bleeding and pain, there is something called a premenstrual syndrome, where in the 7 to 14 days in the build up to your periods, you have horrible mood swings, you feel bloated, you have breast pain, etc. And this is for real. And there are 96% of women have experienced PMS at some stage of their life. And in most of the women, this is transient. And this is very important from an athlete's or a sportswoman's point of view, because this might impact their performance, which means people around them, be it the coaches, be it the administrator, be the support staff, they need to be aware of that. If they suddenly see there's something which is affecting a person's performance, they need to inquire whether any of this, because most of these can be treated. So that is something that we need to be aware of, because the women during the month, the hormonal fluctuations happen, and that can give rise to physical and emotional and mental issues, and that can affect performance surely.
Okay, I have two more questions for you. We've talked about, menstruation. We've talked about hormones. We've talked about PCOS. Now, one thing you mentioned at the start of the interview is increasingly now women, all across in different professions, and of course athletes also, they're choosing to have children at a later stage. And that, of course, comes with familial pressure. It comes with a lot of mental anxiety that am I going to be able to at a later stage? What would be your advice? You said, we always tell them, don't force yourself, wait, and there are certain steps to be taken. So what would be your advice?
Yeah. Basically, I think this is not only in sports, this is in all careers with women, because your peak of your career is which is, of course, the best time to have children. So I think what is important is for women to understand that women are born with a fixed number of eggs, which starts decreasing as you grow older. And there is a rapid decline from the time you're in mid-30s. So when women say that I want to postpone my pregnancy, I do not want to have a baby now, and what we advise them is to keep what we call is an ovarian reserve. These are tests which tell you how much of eggs you got left, and we monitor that on a yearly basis. And if we see it starting to decline, then we offer them what we call is an egg freezing. So the eggs are frozen, and then maybe 10 years later they want those eggs to get pregnant. They have a backup option. Doesn't mean they would have to go for that. But if they can't conceive naturally, they have a backup option. It's like your fixed deposit in your bank. So that would be the advice. Be aware of that. If you're postponing, there's absolutely no problem, but know what your options are and get checked and avail of those options.
Just, I would like to add something to that. Do you think there's a lot of stigma still attached to that in India, or are people more open to that? Families, especially.
I think in urban areas it is changing. I see a lot of young girls who come and put their foot down and say, I will not get married. The numbers are very few, but there are mothers who are coming and asking us, can she freeze her eggs? But those numbers are few. So I think that is a situation we need changing. On our part, we'll have to do something to raise awareness.
Okay, my last question, this is it all in a day's work for you, but on this interview, what advice, one health advice, or maybe one or two very important health advices you would like to give, young girls and women, or maybe women of all age groups? Is there one or two things that they should really be doing on a daily basis?
Well, balance your energy needs. This is from one spectrum to the other. From the spectrum of sportswomen, make sure that you're not burning more calories than you are taking in, and so you are not on a negative basis. And for women of all ages, it is make sure that you're not taking too many calories compared to what you need, and that you are exercising regularly, which of course doesn't hold for sportsmen. These are the two things which will prevent most of the problems that we see with bones, with hormones, with polycystic ovarian syndrome, all of these.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pal. It was a pleasure to have you here with us today, and a most instructive conversation. I'm sure our viewers, everyone, male and female, will benefit from listening to this. So stay tuned to Revsportz for more such segments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this special video on Revsportz. I'm Snehasis Mukherjee, and in this video I'm going to talk about Marizanne Kapp. DC, Delhi Capitals, now two back-to-back wins, and they have come strong, and they have made a strong comeback in the playoff race, especially after defeating someone like RCB, who are coming off 5 wins in 5 games, and now DC have handed them their first loss of the season. But what is the main reason behind these two back-to-back wins? I think Marizanne Kapp. I think both with the bat and ball. If you see in the earlier games, Marizanne Kapp was struggling with the bat. We all know what was going wrong. Everything was going wrong for Marizanne Kapp. You know that against that Gujarat Giants game, I think that was a game for DC to win, but unfortunately it didn't. And Marizanne Kapp, the way she batted, it left all the DC fans very surprised and shocked. Uh, uh, then with the ball, she was bowling decently. I think game by game she was getting that group back, but she was not getting those wickets, especially with the new ball in the power play overs. I think that was an issue. But if you see in the last 2 games, she has managed wicket with the new ball. She has managed to come back strongly with the bat. I think yesterday against RCB she was superb. After Jemima Rodriguez's wicket, things could have been more trickier if one or two wickets here and there fall again. But I think the way positive with a positive mindset, I think the way Marizanne Kapp batted and played those glorious shots down the ground, I will say over the bowler or down the ground, I think that was superb. So yeah, I think the confidence is back with the ball, the confidence is back with the bat. But still, if you see Marizanne Kapp, the way she was behaving on the field yesterday with herself, she was not happy with herself. I think the kind of standard that she has set for herself, somehow she was thinking that I'm not matching to that. So I think she was not happy, despite she bowled superbly, 16 dot balls, and obviously what a performance it was, but she was not happy. But for DC, I think it is working superbly. We all knew that once Marizanne Kapp is back with both bat and ball, this DC team will look different, and that is only happening. And I think a little credit should go to Jemima Rodriguez, the captain also. I think the way Jemima used Marizanne Kapp yesterday, I think it was superb to bring her back. And then she delivered to by dismissing Georgia Hall. I think that was a crucial wicket at that stage, and that was a fantastic move from the young captain Jemima Rodriguez. So I think it's interconnected between all the things that obviously initially Kapp was struggling to find that rhythm continuously, consistently, but different things were DC also planning in different ways. Like sometimes they were thinking, okay, let's use all 4 overs of Marizanne Kapp on a trot. Then okay, let's give Marizanne Kapp at least 1 over for the death overs. But I think yesterday, according to the situation, thinking that okay, at this stage 1 more wicket might help us, and Jemima went with that plan, and that plan worked. Brought back Marizanne Kapp, and she dismissed Georgia Ball. So I think the confidence that was missing for Marizanne Kapp, I think it is back, and the way we all expected that it will definitely help DC to come back stronger, I think that they have already did. Now with 2 games to go, DC are in a strong position now with 6 points. Yeah, maybe one more win will keep them in check in terms of net run rate. Then the net run rate will play a bigger role to identify that which team will qualify. But if they manage to come up with 2 more back-to-back wins, then with 10 points they are definitely going to qualify. So yeah, huge 2 games, but the only good thing for DC fans, for DC, is that Marizanne Kapp is literally back. She's back. There were some concerns before 2 games that maybe DC might be a little tempted to play someone like Lucy Hamilton instead of Marizanne Kapp, considering the batting performance, because Lucy Hamilton on debut played a fantastic knock of 36 of 19, and the way she had that partnership with Shefali Verma against RCB only in that match, I think it was superb. But yeah, I think this is all class all about, right? Form is temporary, class is permanent. We all know that saying, and this is what Marizanne Kapp proved once again, that she is here and she is still the game changer. So that is it for now. Thank you for joining in. If you like the video, please share and subscribe the channel. Till then, take care.
As a woman, it is important for you to know your blood type. In India, 5 to 10% women have a negative blood type, such as A negative, B negative, O negative, and AB negative. It's time to know more about your blood type. Consult your doctor today. A public health initiative by Bharat Serums and Vaccines Limited and Mankind Pharma Limited.